What's up, everybody? This is the Ike's Inspirations podcast, and today I have a great guest named DJ Rachel, and I'm excited to have Rachel on. Her story as a DJ is very inspiring, and as a DJ myself, I have so much questions for her, and I'm so excited to talk to her. So, can you please do us the favor of introducing us to the audience and giving us a brief story of your DJ journey and how you got to where you are as a DJ?
Sure, man. Well, pleasure to be here. Again, thanks so much for the time to chat. It's always cool to connect with, other DJs. Just real quick, where are you based out of?
Yeah, I'm based in Atlanta, Atlanta.
All right, very cool. So I'm over in Connecticut. Over by, I'm actually about an hour outside of New York City.
Okay.
Born and raised, kind of a country girl here. There's really not a lot going on in my town. Take me at least an hour to get everywhere. We have no gas station, no police station. When I'm telling you, there's nothing here. So all the party life, I gotta go drive to go have a good time somewhere else. So I'm a open format mobile DJ based out of Connecticut, like I said, and I've been doing this for, I'm going to say professionally, like 12 years now, where you kind of feel like you have your stuff together. But the whole story begins about 20 years before that. So I've kind of been having my toes in the industry for about 20 years now, which is crazy. Yeah. So how do we get started? Believe it or not, I really never wanted to be a DJ. If you would have told me that I'd be sitting here talking to you April, 18th, 20 years in the future, I would have said you were crazy. So it's kind of a long story. I'll keep it as short as I can. So, I was always a very musical person. I did piano and tap dancing and band and, all the things in school. And growing up, my brother was actually a DJ. He started when he was around 16, 17 years old. So I was around it, I was aware of the gear and how heavy it was, and I knew what a play button was. But, in terms of like the culture and the skill and really diving into, the music and the planning and the formalities of it, I didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, I really didn't pay attention that closely. So either which way, a couple years had passed. So I was around 15 at the time. I knew I had my learner's permit. So we're 4 years apart. So that would have made him like 18, 19 years old. And he actually had a wedding this day. So my family and I are downstairs in the kitchen just doing our thing. And we hear a really loud crash upstairs, like the walls caved in. So obviously we go upstairs to see what on earth that noise was. And unbeknownst to us, my brother had gone unconscious and was in essentially a diabetic coma. Now, at the time, we didn't know he was a type 1 diabetic. So for all we knew, he could have just had, a cardiac arrest and just died, upstairs in the room. We had no idea what it was. We just knew he wasn't responsive and we needed 911 immediately. So obviously, ambulance comes, whisks him away, and mom goes in the ambulance, with him to the hospital. So, and just to kind of date myself here, I actually just turned 39 on Tuesday. So
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So to date myself a little bit, this was before, GPS, or GPS at the time was really expensive. Like a Garmin was like $700. So my family, we didn't have one of those. So everything was MapQuest, if you even know what that is. Yeah. I don't know how you are or how old you are. Even text messaging, it was nothing what we have today when you have that instant communication. Yeah. He didn't have like a roster of like, backup DJs and stuff. It wasn't the connections that you have today. So the point here is I'm trying to say is, we have a critical emergency. These people have no DJ and they also have no idea that they don't have a DJ. Mm-hmm. So, I said, to my dad, we kind of agreed like we should at least go and tell these people. Right. So we, and my dad was kind of like, can't you just throw on some music? Like, again, he didn't really have an understanding of what went into it. So either which way, we finished packing up the car and grabbed the MapQuest, and we drove to these people's event. And then obviously they see like, this weird old man and this like little girl, and they're like, this isn't our DJ, what's going on here? So we explained, the critical nature of the situation. Just at the very minimum, just to preserve my brother's name, like that's one of the biggest taboos as a DJ is, when they talk about like the bottom feeders and, if you spend $500 on a DJ, they're not going to show up and they're going to steal your money or cancel on you last minute. I didn't want anyone to think that of him. This was obviously a critical situation. So anyway, we showed up, explained, what happened. And obviously the couple was completely distraught, right? Like who wouldn't be freaking out that your DJ is not coming, right?
Yeah.
So, I said, listen, I'm not a DJ, but I have my dad here and we're early. I am more than happy to do what I can for you. Like, and this is also, to kind of see how far we've come with technology. There was no Spotify then. There was, instant music. You literally had these Case Logic cases of CDs. And then back then, promo only was like the thing. So you had these binders that would tell you what songs are on what CD, and you had to flip through the binder. Like you couldn't just go in your little search bar in Serato or Virtual DJ and just bam, Tidal have the whole entire world's catalog of music in seconds. So we have it so good now.
Oh, wow.
Like people have no idea. Like the newcomers have no idea. Back, in the early 2000s, 90s, and then before that, vinyl and all that. But the point here is I had my work cut out for me. Like it wasn't like you could just type in, what kind of music, like 2000s hits, and then you just put on a 2000s Spotify playlist. Like it wasn't like that,
Yeah.
So either which way, I said, listen, if you have a couple songs, I'll see if I can pull them out in these CDs, and like I'll figure it out. And now, mind you, this is also before, I don't want to say before powered speakers, but it was very common to have a passive system. And that's what this was. This had amps that weighed more than I did. This was a passive Bose system with a huge Serwin Vega 18-inch sub. The thing weighed like more than the car. It was like ridiculous. I couldn't lift any of this crap.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to have my dad obviously help me. And my dad was a very smart guy, but at the end of the day, he didn't have all the ins and outs of the gear. So we literally just, does this look like this fits in this hole? Does this look like this fits in this hole? And we just started plugging stuff in until we heard stuff. Like there's only so many combinations, right? So we ended up hooking up the gear, and, I did the best that I could. And I ended up, DJing a wedding at like 15 years old after never doing, a wedding ever.
Yeah.
To this day, probably one of the most stressful days of my life.
Wow.
But I did realize I had a little bit more natural talent than I thought. Like by no means was I good, but it wasn't as like awkward as I thought it was going to be. So anyway, fast forward a little bit after this traumatic experience of having my feet thrown to the fire with this, just to kind of help my family out. My brother made a full recovery, right? Just diabetes, totally fine. And obviously he continued to DJ, and then he started to become of age, and he started DJing in bars and clubs. So now here comes little sister, brother's 21, 22, I'm 17, 18. And it wasn't about like the partying and the alcohol and, all like, I'll say the bad stuff with nightlife.
Sure.
Like, I just wanted to be around the music and the energy and the lighting. And I loved to dance.
Oh, okay.
So he would sneak me into the club, right? Because I shouldn't have been there because I'm underage. And then, he'd go out for a cigarette break and he'd be like, all right, listen, you see this song in this deck? When this gets to 35 seconds, you see this, like hit play. And I would get like these like mini lessons.
Oh, wow.
And then the cigarette breaks got longer and longer and longer. And I'd play more and more weekend after weekend. And before you knew it, I had like DJ training. Yeah. And then as he got busier, he started throwing me like, little events, like little birthday parties here and that. And then, I kind of did a good job. So people would start calling me back, instead of going through him. And I kind of just like accidentally built this ridiculous business that I never even wanted in the first place. And it's crazy. So yeah, that's kind of how we're here.
Well, yeah, well, great story. I love the energy, and it's just very interesting how you got to where you are. That's one of the things I love about this podcast. It gives me an opportunity to understand people's stories and how they got to where they were. And you said a lot. One of the things I wanted to comment on is the difference between DJing then versus back now. Like now, I feel like because of the online stuff and the ability to download, and because of the Serato and all the techniques we have, it's so much easier. Where I know back in the day, I'm really into hip hop. They had to do all the scratching, and you couldn't look at the BPM. You couldn't look at the BPM, so you kind of had to like count the beats on your head and whatnot. So it's kind of funny the difference between DJing now versus back then. But I also wanted to ask you, Rachel, so when you first did it, like, what was the feeling like, and what encouraged you to want to keep doing this? Because, you said it was pretty stressful. So why did you feel the need to continue?
If you would ask me if I would want to be a DJ after I did that wedding, I would have said, hell no, this is so stressful. That wasn't fun or enjoyable, but it just was, the right thing to do in the moment. But like I said, when I got into the club and bar scene, to look at the fun that he had and the connection you made with people. And I know this is going to sound ridiculous because I don't necessarily feel this way, but there's almost like a moment of like, celebrity, like you put something on and just seeing people's reaction. And it's like, God, that is so cool. And people had a really crappy work week and they're coming there and all they want to do is just cut loose and vibe out. And you're able to just be like a piece of joy, And I fell in love with that. Just allowing people to have a great time and you having a part of that. That was just really attractive for me.
Yeah.
So
for me, you're sharing your story, and I just started DJing. I've only been doing this for like 2 months, but the way I fell into it is like pretty much like all my life, like I everything I do, I listen to music. Before this podcast, I listen to music. Like I just love music, listen to music. And one of my friends pointed out to me, he's like, yo, Ike, you're literally always playing music. Like you wake up in the morning, you play music. Like, whatever you do, you're in the car, you play music. Have you ever thought about DJing? And I was like, when she said that, I don't know why, like all of a sudden everything just clicked in my head. I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect for me. Like I love music. I love leading people. I find DJing like an interesting form of leadership. I'm really into leading people, and also just giving people an opportunity to have fun and connect people and create memorable experiences, And so, I took it upon myself to throw my first gig at my house. And, I threw a little house party, and I too was nervous. Not necessarily more about my ability to DJ, but more my ability to actually recruit people in a new city. So when I was able to do that, my first gig was awesome. And I'm like, man, like if I can incorporate this into my lifestyle, I know it'll bring me so much more joy and satisfaction And you said something that was also interesting to me, how you said you don't necessarily join because you don't really join. You're not a DJ just for the sake of celebrity or for like the flashiness. And I'm kind of glad that you said that. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I reached out to you, because in Atlanta, I feel like there's a lot of DJs and a lot of celebrities who kind of put this like fake image. And I don't know, I kind of got the vibe that from you, you're a lot more like down to earth and real. And so that's why I was more excited to talk to you as a DJ, because I feel like it's not even just DJ. I feel like in the entertainment field, you can kind of get lost in that flashiness and celebrity.
Especially since there's such a quick conduit to go from nothing to something, right? Especially with all the platforms and the algorithms and this and that. Like, back in the day, you really had to grind. You really had to get your name out there. You really had to build trust with people, breaking through to getting that first event to get in front of other people. And then they say, you know what, this person's pretty dope. And then you just kind of let your work speak for you. And then, it's very organic. Yes. And I was grateful to have that kind of journey. I do make content. And I know you have some questions you wanted to ask about that in a minute. But none of my content is positioned for viralness. In fact, I don't want that, because I know what comes with that. I try to help as many people as I can. Obviously, you want engagement and people to find value in things you create. But, I'm not trying to be the next viral sensation.
Yeah.
On the flip side, though, I think we both have to admit you can't. So, the word ego usually has a very negative connotation, especially if you're very arrogant and, you believe you're above certain things and certain people and certain music. But you do need, I guess there's a fine line between ego and confidence, right? And I think, that's been talked about a lot. But you can't do this job if you don't have a certain self-esteem about you. You don't have, you need, people are attracted to people who believe in themselves and they're confident and they have a smile on their face, and you have to have a little bit of that. You know what I mean? But it's a very thin line that you can just skip right on over to the ego thing. And I don't know, ego is definitely a killer of a lot of great DJs. Just they're not nice people. They're not good people. So, and we're in the business of people, right? Like, I know we're in the business of music, but at the end of the day, music is a tool to reach people. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
and there's a huge difference between stubbornness and confidence. And, sometimes once you get too overconfident or you think you're too good for someone, you become unrelatable. And I've also come across a fair share of DJs who, I tell them I'm a new DJ, I'm trying to learn from you, and then they're like, don't even want to talk to me or whatever. And, you kind of give me the opposite vibe, like, you're willing to reach out to me, learn more. And I can tell, like, you're a people person and you generally care about actually, bringing joy to people and making people smile. I got that vibe from your content. So, in regards to your content and your YouTube, I wanted to ask you, can you describe the significance of growing a personal brand and how that was able to help you, your business, and even more importantly, like, kind of shape your identity as a person, as a DJ today?
Wow. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. So first, let me say, I cannot understate, or actually let me overstate, the value of having great content in today's current market. And I'm not talking about gimmicky stuff. I'm talking about clients more than ever, whether that's, a bar manager to a wedding couple. The, millennials and below, they crave authenticity. And the moment they think that you're bullshitting them, you're not being genuine, you're not being authentic, they will spit you out and eat you alive. So, I actually have a very unique position. I don't even have a website. And I think a lot of people find that kind of astonishing because, right, what profitable and functioning business doesn't have, like, isn't on the web. But, if you have a minute, or maybe you already did, I'm very Googleable. So just because I don't have a website doesn't mean you can't find me. So this is where the content comes in. Because I have such a strong social media presence on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and articles and interviews, with kind people like you, I'm kind of everywhere. So that has really elevated my brand and made me, I'm going to say, like, a trustworthy figure. People know that I'm legit and real because they have the content to back it up. Which then brings me to why I started in the first place. So number one, as you kind of said, like, you just started and you're trying to reach out to some people. And again, 15, 20 years ago, it wasn't that simple. You didn't have Snapchat and Messenger. Like, you couldn't connect as easy with people as you can today. So I didn't have those tools and resources. I had to really rely on my brother and just hitting buttons and figuring it out and trial and error, and then some of his friends and other DJs that he knew, and you just kind of build your little network. But I really had to work to figure it out because I didn't have the whole entire internet, and for me to find out what because back then the 70s and 80s bangers and funk because you're talking 20 years ago. So if you go back,
that was
when I started, like those were the classics. Now, 2000s are considered the throwbacks or whatever. Yeah. But you couldn't just go on the internet and be like, Chat GPT, give me the top 100 songs of, like, you really had to know your shit, right?
Yeah.
So that took time and research and really listening to the music, and asking my parents and digging in their record collection.
Wow.
So anyway, the point here is I wanted to make content that I didn't have access to. So as I started figuring stuff out, it's like, well, why not share it?
Yeah.
Then the bigger part of it is, and, I'm a very optimistic, positive person, but, the internet is a pretty ugly, mean place if you let it be that way.
Sure.
And, being a younger female DJ, I am going to say I had to jump through a lot of hurdles to get people to take me seriously.
Yeah.
To validate me as a talent, as a DJ, without people diminishing my passions and skills by just being like, oh, well, you only got hired because you're a cute female, because you're this. Like, everything was totally undermining all of my accomplishments. So I kind of took the position, listen, if you don't think I can do this, I'm going to show you I can do this. So that's why I kind of have that very kind of unfiltered, like, not like, all my content is very just, I don't see underwhelming, but it's literally just a cell phone in my hand. Like, there's not a lot of production value. There's no smoke and mirrors. It's just like, hey, follow me along. Come check it out. If you like it, great. If you don't, okay.
Yeah. You want to know what's crazy? It's funny that you said that you're just using a cell phone and a selfie stick, because I just started my journey and I made it a goal to post to record one mix a day. And I usually do it during the evenings. I've been doing that. I'm going to plan on doing it for 40 days. But it's funny. I
love that.
Use my cell phone, and I use my cell phone and my stick, and I just go to like beautiful, like scenic places with a nice background. And I just make a mix, man. And I make a mix of music that I enjoy, which is Afrobeats, R&B, house music, hip hop, and I just get really creative, and I love it. It's kind of like my own place to just decompress and rewind, while also giving myself an opportunity to serve people and heal people by making this content available online. So I was gonna ask you about your experience about being a woman in the DJ field, but I guess you already brought it up, so we can speak more in depth about it. One question that I would love to ask is, you talked about the struggles of being a woman to an extent. Can you kind of dive more deep into it? Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a woman, but I would imagine, in this type of industry, it can kind of get weird, and I'm sure you come through a lot of your pitfalls. Probably people questioning your ability to do it, or wondering how you even got there, or not taking you seriously because of your gender, right? I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a good place now. But I had to work really hard for that. I don't have, I mean, you'll always have bullies and internet trolls and people who are just jealous of success and kindness and things like that. So that's never, if you're on a public platform, that just comes with the territory. But at least I'm in a place now where I know that if somebody has something negative to say, it's their problem. Like, it's not mine. I've gone way out of my way to let people know, hey, I'm helpful, I'm kind, I'm competent. I can do this. I run my business as a professional. The advice I give, I'd never suggest something I wouldn't do myself, So I feel like I have that covered. But it took, like you said, when you initially reached out, you're like, hey, I noticed you've been making content for around like 6-7 years now. And that's really when I started hitting the pavement hard with it. So it took almost 6 years to get to a place where I don't have to explain myself anymore, I mean, I've definitely, let me say this without making this too soapbox preachy, for every opportunity you get for being female, because let's be real, there's sometimes that, there's an event where they're like, hey, this is a women's breast cancer event. Of course they're going to want like a woman to be there. Or if it's a female gym, they're going to want female energy there. Like there's just some things where it is like a better fit. But I'm telling you, for every event that I've got for being female, there's 5 that I haven't. I've had brides not want to book me because they thought that a female DJ would upstage them. I've had other people think that like that I couldn't do the work myself, and if my assistant didn't show up, then who would be able to lift the gear and do this? Like, we don't want to hire just like a pretty face. We want someone who can actually come in here and get the work done. So that's why I always show them my videos of like, hey, like I'm setting this up, I'm breaking this down, I'm setting up this wireless transmitter. Like I am the brains and beauty behind the operation. I don't just show up and have like a team and then ta-da. Like I am your DJ from start to finish. God, just sexist comments. People wanting you to wear certain things that you normally wouldn't want to wear. I remember a story where a person acted like they had a really great opportunity for me, and they were a little evasive with the details, but they're like, hey, can we meet up for lunch? I think it'd be a really great place where, we're just about to open and we're looking for some like fresh talent and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, come to find out it was for a strip club. And they didn't disclose that. And I can guarantee you, if I was a male, that meeting would have been much different than how the meeting was with me. And I felt very slighted and disrespected with that. I mean, I have story on story. I mean, you're talking about 15 years of nonsense. And then, God, this could totally derail this conversation. So I don't know if I'm going to regret even bringing this up. But
no, please.
The whole situation with Grimes, at Coachella. Unless you've been living under a rock, you have to know what I'm talking about.
No, I'm sorry. You gotta.
Really? Oh my God, dude! Hit up the gram, type in Grimes. So essentially, she is a. So I'm going to be honest. I don't know a ton about her background. I do know. I think she's a musician. I know she has some significant time at like producing music, and supposedly she's very talented. She was also Elon Musk's like ex-girlfriend or maybe baby mama or something.
I know. I remember that name. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was just at Coachella, did her set, and apparently something happened where her BPMs were doubled when she had her, record box stick prepared, and she wasn't the one who did it. So a track that would show 70 now is showing at 140, and she didn't know how to just divide by 2. Like that happens to me all the time. Like if you, sometimes virtual DJ is 80 is 160. Okay, well I know something 80 PM is going to match with one. I mean that's anyway. We don't need to go down that road. Divide by 2. Sorry, my Alexa's going off giving me the weather report. Sorry. Hey, you said you wanted to keep this real, so we got this real.
Be yourself, be authentic for doing that. That's all I can ask for, Yeah.
So I think her biggest mistake was how she acted on the microphone, right? She called attention to the technical difficulty rather than just kind of figure it out, muscle through it, nudge your wheel until stuff sounds good. I don't know, have a backup mix. I mean, I guess I respect her for like not playing something pre-recorded, but something like that. I don't care if you have a phone plugged in, just have something ready if all hell breaks loose, The way she handled it wasn't good. But what I'm sad to see now, regardless of what happened, it's almost like there's like this group of people that are so happy to see someone fail so bad on a global or national stage. And that is horrible for the community. And then, of course, you then, see the comments, oh, well, that's what you get for being an Instagram influencer model. And now they bring it about like, she's a woman because of her looks and she has no talent. And it's going down like this hole that's like really sad to see.
Yeah.
So now I feel like as a female, because of how she handled it and how bad she like flubbed it, it just makes females look bad, incompetent. And if you have blonde hair and if you don't look like a bridge troll and, they're making it about, at the end of the day, it's about a DJ who wasn't prepared, a DJ who didn't know how to have the show go on. When I do a wedding, I have backup of backup of backup. Like that would never happen if that was me. So anyway, to get off this whole tangent thing and the female DJ thing, I just think that anytime there's a situation like that, like people capitalize on that, and it's sad for the female DJ culture.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
In full transparency, though, I don't really do the whole female DJ thing. I mean, you can't ignore gender completely, but at the end of the day, I want you to like what I do because you think I'm a dope DJ, because I've been kind to you some way, because my content was helpful. I don't brand myself as, hashtag female DJ. Like, I don't push that in any marketing way. Like, it's clearly I'm a woman. If you want a woman for your event, give me a call. But outside of that, I don't make it about gender. Just play dope music, be good to people, be on time, do your thing, go home and repeat. It's that simple. So
I love it, man. And it's unfortunate what happened with the Grimes situation. Yeah, she may have made a few mistakes, and you can hold her accountable for making those mistakes. But to hear those comments that were pretty much just relentless and unnecessary shouldn't have happened. And oftentimes in this internet culture, I've noticed that the people who do make these comments, honestly, they're simply projecting their insecurities onto other people. That's really what it is. Because 99% of the time, if you notice, people who do make these type of comments or trolling or whatever or hating, they're usually not that successful themselves. Like they don't have the courage to do what Grimes did or put themselves out there. They're not really they don't have much going on for themselves. So it feels good to kind of see them fail, because it's like, that's where I'm at too, So I think that's why I feel like a lot of people are attracted to failure and negativity, because deep down they're not really doing much themselves. So it's just kind of easier to kind of come part of the, like, I don't know, it feels good in a weird way. Because if you think about it, like when people, I'm sure you've gotten a lot of troll comments. I don't know who trolled you or who disrespected you or whatever, but chances are they probably weren't really successful or had a lot going on. I would guess. I don't know if you got those comments from successful. Usually
I have a couple pinned right in my Instagram profile. There's a gentleman who's been bullying me for a number of years. But like you said, the point here is if you're successful, you don't have to tell people you are, right? They just see it. So usually those are the types that talk about, oh, I do this and I do this. And it's like, okay.
Yes.
Good for you.
Good for you.
This one particular bully told me that Mixcloud was am I allowed to say bad words on here or no?
Yeah, no, you can say it. Yeah.
He said Mixcloud is for broke ass DJs or broke DJ shit, is what he said. And he's like, I'm, a 6-figure DJ and I don't have time for this. And I was like, dude, at the end of the day, if you're a DJ and you can't produce a mix and you want to call me mediocre and I play basic bitch stuff and all the, hurt words that you want to throw my way, at the end of the day, I have 3,000 people on Mixcloud that obviously enjoy listening to what I do. You can't even post a link to one thing you've accomplished. Like, it's easy to be a hater from the bleacher seats. So go take a seat. You know what I mean? Like, and it took me a while to kind of build that like harder shell. But now it's like, dude, I'm too busy. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah, you can keep talking. I'm gonna keep getting to the money.
To be honest with you, man, I know way more kind and awesome people, such as yourself and other people I've connected with, than the losers. I don't even focus on it. Overall, I think the DJ community is a wonderful place. It's filled with a bunch of creatives and innovators and people who do actually want to help other people and build up the industry and see other people win and do good things. So just surround yourself with those people and you will keep elevating. 100%.
And I'm so glad that, I'm doing that right now by speaking to you. I kind of made it a go. I was already doing this podcast before I started DJing, but I was like, I have this podcast. Why don't I use it as an opportunity to also network with DJs and learn more about their journeys? Because, honestly, I was doing research on your journey and I truly found it fascinating and inspiring, to be honest. Like, because you've been doing this for, going on to 2 decades, you're a female, and honestly, just hearing your content, you speak with so much confidence and so much inspiration. And my podcast is literally called Ike's Inspiration. Like, I like feed off inspiration. Like, I just love when people are being inspirational. And I feel like, you do a lot of that with your content. And, first of all, I just want to thank you for that, because, I don't want to be like degrading, but like, if she can do this, like, well, I can definitely do this. You're in
Absolutely.
You're in like I don't know too much about your market, but it does, it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on compared to Atlanta. I don't want,
I'm around some heavy hitters.
You know what I'm saying?
New York, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Like around Delhi, SCE's out this way. Like,
yeah, but you're around the heavy hitters. And
yeah.
That we also have to acknowledge, you're a mobile DJ, like, which is right. So you're going about traveling to a bunch of different places and whatnot. And it just really, watching you, I was like, wow, I think I could definitely do this myself too. Despite all the things that she went through. It made me feel like, I can make this part of my identity. And that's essentially the goal of why I started doing this. I personally became interested in becoming a DJ myself because honestly, it's not even about the money. I'm honestly in a pretty good position where I don't have to worry about money. I'm working on myself internally to grow as a person. I think I can be a bit sheltered sometimes. And I feel like being a DJ will put myself out there and give myself an opportunity to meet more people like you and just bring more joy to people, which is something I ultimately want to do more of. So, with that being said, I do have so many more questions for you.
Sure, go ahead.
So my next question for you is, we spoke about some of the challenges of being a DJ. One of them that I want to speak more in depth on is the concept of self-doubt. I heard in some of your content you spoke about self-doubt. That's something outside of DJing that I just personally struggle with to an extent. Sometimes I feel like I can be very doubtful of myself or what I should be pursuing. How do you go about becoming less doubtful and overcoming self-doubt?
Well, wow, there's kind of a lot to unpack there too. So number one, you have to be willing to take feedback. And that's where that whole kind of ego thing comes in. If you come out the gate thinking you're the best at what you do and there's no room for learning or growth or everything you do is perfect, you're going to end up stagnating very, very quickly. There's always ways to grow and do things better. So that also leads me into the networking, surrounding yourself with like-minded creatives who are willing to give you that feedback, right? And whether that's through, Facebook groups, whether that's, DJs in your local area, you got a couple of like really good friends. Hell, you send a mix to me and say, hey, on your way into work, would you just check this out and let me know what you think, right? Seek feedback because it's going to give you kind of a good foundation of where you stand. And I'm telling you, like, if I listen to mixes that I made, 10 years ago, it's like, why didn't anybody tell me this was this bad? So seek feedback. It's important. You can't live in your own bubble.
Sure.
I also love listening to other DJs, whether it's, going out for a couple drinks with some friends to another nightlife venue or things on, Mixcloud. And sometimes it's good to just hear what others are doing to see where you stand. If you go, oh my God, I never even thought to like put those two songs together. Or I really like, the pacing of how quickly they came in and out of these edits. And then you kind of, go back and listen to your own stuff and see where you stand. And it's not about copying anybody else, but you don't know what you don't know. So just like have an open mind, and the more you consume, the more kind of like awareness you have of great music that's out there in different mixing styles. I did this a lot with MC work. Okay, I hate being on the microphone. Yeah, to me, it's the worst part of the job.
Really?
I held myself back from doing weddings for almost a decade because I was too afraid to be an event host and just do like the grand entrances and stuff like that. I was petrified. I still don't like it, but at least now I kind of have like a script and it works, and you work it out. But I hate the microphone. So I would listen to other DJs, just kind of what they did and watch their body language. And then I would record myself, watch it back, and see if I, had weird tics and and, just all the things that you're not supposed to do, again, to get an honest look at how I was, presenting myself in front of people and on the microphone. And then through watching that, you build more confidence because you know what? I like what I did there. Or if you don't like what you did there, then you go back and you like massage it a little bit and you change things. So surround yourself with people you can trust that are willing to give you great advice. Have honest self-reflection on yourself, check your ego at the door. And, it's okay to be proud of yourself. If you, at the end of your event, if someone comes up and says, hey man, you freaking crushed it tonight. That's what you need to hear. At the end of the day, the people are the judge and jury. You don't have to like what you do. They have to like what you do because you're doing it for them. And obviously you should like, what you do. But, if you're getting good feedback from people, so, I don't care if you've been doing this 40 years. You get a good 5-star review on Google, that's good for the soul. That's good for the ego. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And if I told you I still don't get butterflies in my stomach, I'd be lying to you. If I told you that the night before a wedding that I'm not losing sleep or kind of running, things through my head, and did I do this? And oh my God, how do you pronounce that person's name again? But it's one of those, like, when you're in the moment, the switch just flips and you go. Like your body just knows what to do, what to say, what to play. And obviously, dude, it took me so long to have the confidence that I have now, especially to get on camera and vlog and show the ins and outs of what I do. Like, exposing yourself to the internet, like, that's a scary thing, So it's a journey. This is not something, you are going to build overnight. It took me 20 years to be able to get to where I am today with the confidence that I have. And I'm still learning, still growing, still getting feedback. And, So there you go.
You said so many things, and so many just thoughts are coming to my mind. It's one of the things I love about this podcast is that time in and time out, I'm consistently speaking to great people. And the common thing is that greatness takes time. You don't build Rome in a day. It takes time, and it's just so interesting, whether it's you saying it took you 20 years to get to where you are, or I recently interviewed someone who was telling me it took him 500 podcasts to finally, get to where he is and start blowing up. It's so interesting. It's very inspiring to me to kind of just continue to be consistent, And, you said that, you love when you listen to DJs and you like providing honest feedback. I'm going to send you a mix. Okay,
do it.
I hope you can give me some
I have an hour commute to work, and so I will listen to the whole thing from start to finish.
Awesome.
I'd love to.
I'm going to send you an R&B mix. I love R&B. But okay, I'm going to send you that. But also, you talked about wedding gigs, and wedding gigs I've yet to do it. I don't know if I ever plan to do it. To be honest, if someone comes to me and says, hey, do it, I would say, yeah, but I'm not looking to it, because I'm going to be honest, that sounds like a very nerve-wracking thing. It seems like there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of gigs I don't feel like I'll be afraid to do, quite honestly. But a wedding gig, I feel like that's a lot of pressure, because this is like one of the most important days of the bride and the people getting married. So that does have a lot of stress, and I can imagine why you would feel like that. One thing I also wanted to ask you is, you've done a lot throughout your DJing career. You've done a lot of marketing. You've done a lot of gigs. And you've developed a lot of skills as a human being. What would you say is the biggest thing that has contributed to your DJ success?
Showing up, exactly what you're doing now, making time every day to do it when you're tired, you don't feel motivated. You know, when I come back from a gig, you know, I take all this content, and now it takes me another 6 hours to edit and put together, you know, the gig log and stuff. Sometimes you don't feel like creating, or you don't feel like practicing. So just showing up even when you don't feel like it, you know, and we'd be lying if we said that, you know, oh, I live, breathe, and die in DJing. And of course, you know, we love what we do, but there's some days, you know, you don't feel well. You are a little tired. You aren't feeling inspired. You are having some technical glitches with your laptop or your controller, and it's stressing you out. You know, like everything we do isn't just, you know, showing up and partying. There's so much work that goes behind the scenes. And then when you start getting involved in, you know, the business end of it, you know, contracts and invoices and, you know, responding to your own inquiries and developing, you know, timeline approval and going back and forth with other vendors to make sure you're on the same page. Like, music is honestly only maybe 15% of the big picture, you know, when you're running it as a business, especially as like a private event DJ. So, so just keep showing up when you, even if you don't feel like it, because you're definitely going to have some days where you don't want to, but you do. So,
dude, and everything you're saying completely resonates with me. For me, like, it's a weird thing. I'm not really doing this DJing thing for money. It's more for an internal sense of identity and for a betterment of myself. And everything you said about showing up, like, it really resonates with me. That's why I literally been intentional about recording one mix a day for 40 days. I think I'm on my 8th day. I have 32 more days to go, because I want to prove to myself that I can show up consistently for myself. And if I can do that for myself, it will eventually spread towards other people. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like you've been doing that for 2 decades, and I'm only like a couple weeks in. But I think, you know, seeing examples like you is definitely a great reminder to continue doing so. You know, my next question for you is, you know, what are your favorite type of gigs and why?
Oh, wow. I do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, favorite type of gigs and why? There's so much that comes from doing different events that, like, if I had to just pick one for like the rest of my life, and this is all you can do, which I wouldn't want to do that, obviously, but it would honestly probably still be weddings.
Really?
And I'm on a mission to change the image of what it means to be a wedding DJ, right? Because a lot of times wedding DJs, they're just kind of seen as like these old, frumpy, you know, all they do is play line dances and Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know, is there an element of tradition? Of course. It's a wedding. You know what I mean? But I treat my weddings like a club. You know, if the couple gives me that freedom, you know, to do that. Like I said, my foundation was from clubs and bar gigs, right? With the lessons with my brother and stuff. So I love showing couples and just like the internet and through content and stuff, like, you can be a bomb ass wedding DJ without, you know, the stereotype, you know, that typically comes with that. Like, that's now my goal with my next phase in my career. I want to bring coolness to weddings, that they're not these stuffy, formal, again, regurgitated top 100 hits over and over and over again. Can they be like that? Sure. But that's not my brand. And the people who hire me, they know that that's not, they hire me to do what I do. And that's not what I do. You know what I mean? So, and there's just something so fulfilling at the end of the day when the couple walks up to you, or the mom and dad, and they say, thank you for like the best day of our life. And you know what didn't do that? The veggie platter. You know what didn't do that? You know, the shrimp cocktail from the caterer. Like, you know, you had a really big part of that. You know, the photographer's there to capture it, but ultimately we have to make, you know, wants and wishes unfold in real time with no mistakes. So it's definitely high reward, high stakes, and I thrive under pressure. And I don't know, they make me feel alive. So I really do enjoy weddings.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's an incredible answer. I was definitely not expecting you to say that after what you previously said about weddings, but it makes a lot of sense. And it's just interesting because I did look into your Google reviews, and I feel like, one of the ways I often tend to judge, I don't want to say judge, but I view people by the way other people like view you or you treat others. And I read the reviews, and there were some of the best reviews I ever. I was like, wow, like you were getting like incredible reviews from so many people. I read this one review where it was like, I think it was for a wedding, and you said and they said that you drove like 4 hours to see them, or before the day of, to make sure that you got everything in place. And I'm like, wow, she's really dedicated to her gigs and whatnot, which I like to see. I think that it says a lot about somebody's character.
I think that's the thing with weddings. You have to understand the privilege you're given. You're invited to be around their most sacred family and friends, right? If I'm sitting down with a couple and they just had maybe a parent just pass away, I have to find a way to delicately navigate that to still, honor their loved one, but still show people a really good time without making things ultra sad or awkward.
Yeah.
You're told really intimate family details and dynamics. Maybe this side of the family hates that side of the family, and what are we going to do? You know what I mean? Like, you really have to be an empathetic person, and care with every fiber of your being to be an effective wedding DJ. Because like I said, the music is only 15% of what we do, right?
Yeah.
The rest is the devil's in the detail, and a lot of that is in here.
The heart, yeah. For sure.
I care in every fiber of my being about the outcome of that day.
Yeah.
Same time though, I'm not trying to make this about, money, but that comes with a price. I give 150%. So, weddings are extremely lucrative, but you see what goes into them.
Yeah,
you read what goes into them. Yeah. So, that's why, but you couldn't do this if you didn't love it.
Yeah.
No amount of money that could keep somebody doing weddings if you didn't actually love it, because it is really easy to get burnt out.
Yeah. High risk, high reward.
High risk, 100%.
And I think, deservingly so. I think wedding DJs deserve to get paid really well, as they should, because there's so much that goes into it. There's so much preparation that comes out of it, and I've noticed that, you travel a lot to do some of your gigs. I'm just kind of curious because, you're a mobile DJ, and I'm just wanted to learn, like, what has been the traveling part been like for you? Like, how has that experience been for you? Just kind of traveling hours to get to another destination and do some gigs. Do you enjoy that part, or is it something you're intentional about, or
It adds a lot of extra burden, right? Because typically with my weddings, I will always do a venue walkthrough. Like, I physically go to the space to look at where I'm working, so I understand what I'm being asked to do, how I'm being asked to do it. So I know what gear I need. I know how complicated loading's going to be. I know if I need to hire an assistant. Pretty much when I show up to do the wedding that day, I just want to get to work. I shouldn't have to figure anything out. Loading, where to park, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
So when you're doing things out of state, it's a lot of extra phone calls. I'm going on Google Maps. I'm stalking the venue, through the 360 tours if I can. I'm having the couples send me pictures, right? When you go to your venue and you meet with your caterer, I need you to send me a picture of this and this. Like, you're almost like an investigator, right? Then it ends up being a 3-day affair. Think about it. If I have to travel, 4 or 5 hours to get to a place, I'm not leaving that day. I have to go the night before to make sure I'm in town. So it's the day before, then you do the event, which typically you're not done till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. So I'm not going to leave then. Then you have to, go the next morning. So it's 3 days of my time, right? Plus a lot of extra planning and consulting. Then God forbid, if you leave anything at home, you break down, what's your plan with that? You really have to have your shit together to do out-of-state events.
Yeah.
I also recommend, networking, having an in-state homie, I'll say, like a friend that's got you. Like if God forbid,
something happens.
Something happens.
Your car breaks down.
You could pick up a phone and say, hey, I need my emergency squad right now. So that's why networking is also really important. But it's a lot of extra work, a lot of extra burden. And it adds on a lot of extra costs, because of the travel fees and hotels. And again, it's 3 days of my time. But it's cool. Like who doesn't like different food, different people? Yeah. I like traveling. I'm a driver. I like driving.
Okay.
It's because that's the only time I really get to consume music.
Yeah.
So I told you I have an hour commute each day. So I spend every drive just, that's me time.
Yeah.
Like no one has any say about anything that's get played in my car other than me, because this is my time and my space.
You go.
I spend my time playing music for so many other people, not in the car. Nay.
I love
If you don't like it, get out.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I love your energy. And it is so... Okay, now it all makes sense. Because I was like, I was just curious. Because I see some people are mobile DJs, some are not. And I'm like, why is she doing that? I'm going to be honest, I personally wouldn't be interested in traveling that far to do gigs. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I was just kind of curious to see why you do it. But after hearing your explanation, it makes so much sense. Because even though I'm not as interested in doing that as you, I too love to drive. And it's funny, I love to drive for the same exact reason you do. It's like my opportunity to listen to music, and driving while listening to music is a unique experience because it's like you're moving forward, but then you also have like the car bass, which is different than like your AirPod.
I got some crazy stereos in my car. Let me just tell you.
Yeah. So the experience is just different than like listening to music at your home, which is cool too, but there's a different vibe to listening to music.
Because you're isolated, you're surrounded by it, and you feel it, especially if you got, like a sub in the back,
I know,
good system. Man, I feel you. So, but that's why I spent a lot of money on cars and stereos, because I'm in them so much. I want to enjoy driving and music. So, yeah. So a 5-hour drive goes like that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, though, I'm not advertising. Like, these people found me, and it's one of those, like if you pay me to be there, I'll be there. I'm not trying to be like a touring wedding DJ by any means, but if I can drive there, within a day, I feel like 8 hours would probably be like my cap.
Yeah. Well,
anything outside of that, I'd probably be like, I know a person.
Yeah,
because then we got to deal with like flying and securing gear. Oh, and I'm also a control freak. I want to be in control over everything. So I want to set up my own stuff. Like, I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, just show up with your laptop and everything will be taken care of for you.
Yeah,
I'm not that kind of person. That like freaks me out. So
yeah, because you don't know what kind of material they have. They can have all type of different equipment that you may not be used to. Yeah, I can definitely see how that.
How to troubleshoot it. God forbid something goes wrong in the middle of the set. Like, now what do I do? So I want to be in control over everything. So if I can't physically drive with my own gear, I probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah. This is I'm really enjoying this conversation. My next question for you, and I'm super curious to hear your answer on this. As a music lover, we're both music lovers, and as you have become a DJ and been sticking with the craft for as long as you've been, how has your relationship with music changed?
Very interesting question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I love it anymore or less or whatever. Like, I've always loved music, kind of like you. I fall asleep to music.
Yeah.
I put my makeup on to music. It's in the car. I clean to it. It's on 24/7. I hate silence. Silence makes me very uncomfortable. I will say though, and I'm sure all of us feel this way, I am so much more conscientious about soundscapes around me. Like, so if I'm shopping in Target and I like automatically my ear goes to it, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know that song. Let me get Shazam.
Yo,
like, I'm Shazamming the world.
you want to know what's crazy? I just got it. I went to the barbershop today, and I was in the barber shop, and my barber was playing this really nice R&B tune, and he was cutting my hair. Really by my phone, just Shazammed it, and then I was like, "Yo, what's the name?" I do the same thing. It's crazy you said that because I'm thinking not just for my, but I was already doing that before I was a DJ. But now I'm like, wow, this could be a really good song for
like, oh, dude, I gotta get this into cocktail hour. I gotta get this into my doors open set for the club. Like, I'm constantly thinking about music, and I'm so aware of it all the time around me. Or when it's not on, like if I'm in a restaurant. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, why is there nothing on right now? And again, it like bothers me. So being a DJ has made me like way more aware of like the soundscape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a very interesting thing. I asked you that question because, I've noticed as long as I've been listening to music, my relationship with music has been changing. Not for the worse, but it's kind of like, even when I'm listening to music, I'm kind of like, all right, when is it going to be a good time to transition like this? I don't know. It's like a weird thing. Like, I'm just listening to music. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I'm like, okay, this would be a good certain time to transition to the next song when I'm listening. It's weird, but I don't know if you get that same feeling sometimes.
Well, like, interesting. Kind of different and maybe not totally in line with your question, but so I do a lot of mixes for radio shows, and I specifically do several FM shows around the country. Like, there's one in Nashville, there's one in Gainesville, Florida, just small FM stations or whatever. So once a month, I'm part of Mix Squad Nation. So it's like a crew of like, I don't know, 10 of us at this point. And every week, one of us grabs, there's like a Friday night drive at 5. There's Saturday night house party, which is what I belong to. And then there's Saturday night after party. So either way, we all submit 2-hour shows. So once a month, 1 2-hour show. And because it's on FM radio, it has to be squeaky clean. Now, as a DJ, I was never really big on lyrics. And I know that sounds like stupid, but I gravitate towards key, signature, melody, drum patterns, breakdowns. Like, that's just, again, as someone who played the piano and was in band, like, the music is what I pay attention to, not necessarily the lyrics. No. So now that I'm doing these radio shows, I really have to pay attention to the lyrics. So that has changed my relationship with music a lot. I have to be more dialed into that, per se.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting that you said that. I'm literally the same way, too. I appreciate lyricism in certain types of music, but I've always been like, if the beat or the melody isn't good, I don't care how great whatever you're saying.
Exactly.
And so I'm the same way, but it's just funny because, you mentioned that, and it started making me be a lot more in tune to lyrics too once I started being a DJ, because sometimes you need a clean version versus like a dirty version, and you can't have, depending on what gigs you're working or who you're serving.
And it's not even bad words, it's context.
Yes.
Right? So like if you're doing, a middle school dance, it might not have the 7 dirty words in it, but if they're talking about whatever, and I don't do youth events. I don't enjoy it. I really can't. I've done a couple Sweet 16s. I've done, 21 and up, like that's cool. But I am not, and it's so funny. So back to the female DJ thing, a lot of people see kind of a friendly-faced female, blonde hair, like she looks so nice, like looks like a mom or like a sister, and it's like, no, I don't like kids. Like I don't want anything to do with youth events. I could never do like a 5-year-old's birthday party, and I get asked all the time, and I think again it's because I have
how you look and
of how I look and. You know what I am? I'm friendly. I'm a nice person. But they just assume that like I love youth events, and I don't. So I haven't done any youth gigs, but I can imagine that being a bit annoying because it would probably severely limit the type of music you can play, and you gotta be very conscientious about what you're putting into these kids' minds. So I can see that being. Yeah. That's literally exactly why I don't enjoy youth events. I can't play. Music I like. And let's be real, every event you're not playing everything you love, but you're still playing things that
But no, yeah, I know
like,
exactly what you mean. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I love hip hop, house, R&B, Afrobeats. I don't know if I can yet. I don't want to limit myself, but I think I'll have a hard time doing a gig where the genre requested is rock or country. That's just me. I don't know. You know, if I don't like the music, then it's not gonna be fun. I think it's the same with you. I think it's the same for any DJ. I think any DJ should be that. If you don't like the music, I don't know if you're gonna how much you really want to get into it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, more of your opportunities are going to come if you are an air quote open format DJ, which means you can play at least a little of everything. You know, could I do an entire night of merengue and a whole Latin night? Probably not. I would struggle through it. I think I could, but I think I would struggle through it. But can I throw on like a fire Latin set? Absolutely. You know, same thing with country. I don't think you wouldn't find me doing a country bar, you know, 5 hours of line dancing and all that. But if my couple's like, hey, you know, we really love like modern pop country, can you throw some things in? I could throw a banger set. You know, you at least need to be good enough to just get through it, you know?
Yeah. And here
but you don't have to be everything to everyone. And don't get caught up in that, because then you'll lose your joy and your own identity.
For sure. I love that you said that. And hearing you speak on that, you know, like just like the same thing with the wedding gigs, I've yet to do them. But if for some reason someone asks, hey, could you do this with this type of genre? You know, I'll definitely be open to it, you know. I think it also gives you an opportunity to grow and expand your mindset and expose yourself to different types of music experiences and people.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, and so this next question that I have for you, Rachel, is what is the most difficult experience you've been through? It can be as a DJ or as a person, just, you know. But what's the most difficult experience you've been through, and how did you overcome that?
Probably losing my father.
Oh wow!
And my father passed away, it will be 9 years ago, July 31st.
Wow.
And he kind of passed away just when things were really starting to take off for me.
Yeah.
And he had a really big part of my love for music. And again, like, he was literally there for my first event, regardless of the circumstances. You know, that was me and my pops. You know, and there's like 2 milestones. You know, I opened up for George Clinton in Parliament Funkadelic, which is like,
that's huge.
I still can't believe it to this day.
Yeah.
And I also opened up for Disco Queen Gloria Gaynor.
Wow.
This is I Will Survive. And you know, he wasn't around to see that. And the highest point of my career on cloud 9, I still went to bed, you know, both of those nights and cried because he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So while, you know, it hurts my heart, you know, and also, you know, you're doing weddings and you're seeing families come together and brides be able to dance with their dad, and I'll never have that. You know, so when I first started, you know, doing weddings 10 years ago, you know, around when he had passed, you know, there were times that I literally had to like kneel, you know, behind my facade and get my shit together.
Yeah.
Before the dance was over. That's been hard. That's probably So I know it's probably not the bomb you were, you know, expecting, but no, that's had a really big impact on my life. He had a really big impact on just the human being I am and the love for music I have, and just, I don't know, he was a really good guy, and I just wish he was around to see the wonderful things that have been going on. You know, this year I was nominated into the MEX Mobile Entertainer Hall of Fame, youngest person to date. Kind of cool.
Congratulations.
Kind of a big accomplishment there. And I just, you know, I wish my dad was around. So and how do you get through it? You know, grief doesn't go away. You know, it just changes. But everything I do, it's like, would this have made him proud? And if the answer is yes, like, that feels good. So you just put one foot in front of the other, just keep doing good things, and, you know, I don't know, hope that there's something cool going on up there, or maybe he knows, maybe he doesn't, but that's it. He would want me to be exactly where I'm at, and that heals my heart a lot. So
yeah. And so it seems like his spirit lives through you, through your DJ. And it seems like every time you DJ, you're kind of, entering, like, you're utilizing like his spirit, and it kind of, and it still lives through you, which is a beautiful thing. And, it was definitely not the answer I was expecting, but I felt like it was the most honest one. And I'm very grateful that you shared that experience with me. It's interesting. I have the blessing of still having my father. And it's interesting that you said that, because my dad, I didn't know this until I really started DJing, but I told him I started DJing, and he's like, yo, I'm a DJ too. Well, he's like, I used to DJ.
Wow.
I was like, what? I was like, yeah.
That's cool.
And it's interesting because he DJ'd in Africa. So like, and there was no surround. I'm like,
right.
And so he showed me this picture once, and he's like, it's like this very old school thing. But once he told me that he was a DJ too, it kind of made me like, wow, like this is kind of like
it comes full circle, right?
Yeah, and so it kind of gave me even more resonance and confidence that I feel like I'm in the right position in what I should be doing. And I hopefully, I believe that your relationship with your dad gives you that energy and confidence too, Yeah.
It does. And I have a wonderful mom too. Shout out to mom. This isn't about, but I was definitely a daddy's girl. He was a good guy. So I wish he was around to see the cool things. But that is so awesome that your dad, I can't believe he was a DJ and you didn't even know it till you started.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild. Yeah. That's amazing. Well, if you ever needed a sign, there's your sign, right?
Oh, trust me. You don't understand. I'm really big into those signs and following what I feel like God has in place for me. And yeah, there's just so many signs that I should do this. And so I'm following them. And that's definitely one of my signs. Honestly, just speaking to you is a sign. And every single person I tell about doing this DJing thing, they're like, yo, that makes so much sense for you. Like you play so much great music around me. Every time we're in the car, you play the great music. And so I just get all these type of signs, and I feel like God is just pushing me towards this direction. And honestly, the biggest sign that I get from doing this DJing is I'm a pretty happy person, but my type of smile that I have when I see myself DJing is priceless. I've never seen myself. I'm always smiling. I can't explain it. Like, I'm a pretty happy person, but it's a different type of excitement that I get from doing it, which I kind of know, like, yeah, I'm in the right place, So, thank you for that. And thank you for sharing your story. And, I really enjoyed this podcast. You're very authentic, very honest, and very easy to talk to. And honestly, just a kind human being. And I wish there was a lot more people like that. I do have two more questions for you, Rachel.
Sure, go ahead.
One of my last questions is, if you had to pick one creative DJ who you believe would be great for this podcast, who would it be and why?
Oh my God, I could give you a list of 20. I know so many great DJs that would be awesome for you to connect to. If I had to pick one, like right now in the moment, oh wow, God, there's so many.
Okay, you can name a couple, or you can name one, but yeah.
So, my boy DJ Kova, he runs Tweak Music Chips. He's an awesome human being, and I think would be a tremendous conversation over here. And he also has some of the like production side of it, and just kind of like a different perspective that I don't have, because I don't really do a lot of like producing and stuff. He's super dope.
Sure.
And another group of people that I absolutely adore would be Brandon Ragoza and Desiree. They're a husband and wife kind of hybrid team, where he's literally like DNC like turntablist, like Red Bull 3 style, like he's unbelievable. And she's an incredible guitarist, like literally been on like the Michael Jackson tour. Like she is phenomenal. But so the talent is just unmentionable. But what I really love about them is they run a DJ school called Evolve DJs. So how they give back and how they want to develop the community is just, it's like hats off to them. They are a fantastic power couple, and I love them to death. Also, my girl Nikki Nell, I'm gonna give a shout out to her. She's based out of Massachusetts, and she's a female mobile DJ, but she runs like a production company. She actually has like a lighting division, a videography, photography division, the DJ side, and how she runs this whole entire multi-op company. She's a freaking rock star. I admire her so much. She's super dope. Like I said, I could just keep going. I know so many just awesome people and DJs. Like, seriously, so if you're trying to like line somebody up for a podcast number 2,
please,
I got you. Like, I got you.
I'm definitely gonna ask for your DJ network. And please, I would love to. Yeah, I said limited to one person because I had a feeling that you're gonna say a lot of people. But
oh my God, I just know so many people, and they're so cool.
The more love, but yeah, I will definitely reach out to you about some of those people, and would love to have them on because I love speaking to DJs, and it's just also an opportunity to just gain different perspectives on how people, because everyone's different. Everyone does things differently.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it works differently. Yeah. And so I kind of like to do this podcast to kind of pick people's brains and learn what people do, what they don't like, why they do it, and just honestly explore my curiosity. So, again, thank you so much for coming on this podcast, Rachel. You were my first DJ that I ever had on the podcast, and
awesome.
I hope to have many more. This is actually definitely one of my more fun conversations because I love music. I love talking about music. I love just talking. This is not like just the art of listening to music, what it does for people, how it heals people. Like I can talk about that all day, and that's why I love DJs, because I feel like our relationship with music is a lot different than many people. I feel like it's something that we truly, truly appreciate, and like we make it part of our lifestyles, which I feel like the casual fan doesn't. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I like meeting people who are audiophiles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So
that's my last awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. And my last question, Rachel, is how can people reach out to you, or if they want to learn more about you, where can people go to see your content, or even potentially just reach out and speak with you?
Sure. I mean, it's really simple. I've actually done a lot of work trying to get everything under the same thing. It's literally like at DJ Rachel Lynch on everything. If you type in DJ Rachel Lynch on YouTube, bam. Please like, please subscribe. A lot of great content, everything from gear reviews to gig logs, a lot of other podcasts and stuff like this. Things, culture and music, and I love it. So love to have some people hopping on over on the YouTube channel. Obviously, you can hit me up at on Instagram at DJ Rachel Lynch, Facebook, nice big following over there. And I always get back to people. Just, maybe give me a day or two, but if you message me, I got you. You got a question, happy to connect with anybody. That's it. At literally at DJ Rachel Lynch, I am everywhere. Okay. Now, you ask a question, it might cost you a couple slices of pizza here and there. Might have to Venmo me some, slice money. We'll work it out. But no, anytime anyone needs anything, you know how to get a hold of me. I'm literally everywhere. So yeah. And then one more question that just came to my mind. I feel like I definitely have to ask is, yes, I am the worst cook in America, and that's why I eat pizza 24/7. No. Okay, my last question, I'm very curious to hear your answer on this is, what advice would you give to your younger self, knowing what you know now, and how would that kid respond to that advice? Be brave and don't let anybody steal your shine. Because there was a lot of times that I was like, why am I doing this to myself? From the past, like history with, again, the comments, the bullying, the naysayers, the this and that. And I just want to say, like, hard work always gets recognized. You don't need a gimmick. You don't have to have people pushing you to do things you don't want to do. You don't have to do things that don't feel good to you or your soul or your brand or, what you represent. Be true to yourself, and good work always gets recognized.
Perfect. Love that advice. And on that note, we're ending now. Thank you for the great advice. Thank you for this great podcast. And thank you for sharing your experience.
Thank you so much for having me, Ike. Awesome.
Bye.
Look forward to seeing your next one.